up? This is Kevin Lackey with the RFN podcast. Thank you for tuning in and listening to a brand new episode. I'm really excited about this episode. I've got a great guest with me today. It's not going to be just me alone rambling on about all my thoughts and feelings and all that cool stuff. I've got an impressive young lady with me named Sherrie McCarty out of Arizona. Say hello, Sherrie.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm doing very good. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this podcast with me, to tell people about your story. You and I have not really met. We've never met in person. We just kind of have started chatting through email and text. I heard your name like twice in a short period of time. And I'm in the sales game, and love entrepreneurship and just people who are like super motivated and inspiring. And to me, it doesn't have to always be someone who's made it, like they're got the planes and got all this stuff. They're just like they're in their journey of kicking ass and taking names. And
right.
Yeah, and so I when I kept hearing your name, I'm like, okay, this sounds like a young lady who is in the middle of her journey, kicking ass and taking names. And you've got some deals going on that I want to bring up and talk about here in just a little bit. But why don't you kind of introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from, kind of what you do, and then we'll kind of jump right into it.
Yeah. My name is Sherrie McCarty. I'm born and raised out here in Arizona. I'm in the facet of the insurance industry with a company that pretty much no one knows about. But I've been in the industry here for a year and a half now, and it's been a great year and a half.
Well, really cool. And so you're in the sales industry. You're in sales yourself. You're out in the field, on the battlefield, touching customers, doing the hand-to-hand combat, trying to make deals happen every single day. And then you're also a sales trainer in your industry. Is that right?
Right. Yep.
And so on average, like how many people do you train at a time, or do you have your own team, like a set team, or what?
Yeah, I have a team. I'm in charge of about 15 agents right now, but I'm on track to be in charge of about 40 to 50.
Oh, wow.
I train about 2 to 3 a week right now.
Okay, so that's exactly why I want to talk to you. I don't know if you said whenever your introduction, but you're 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Just turned 24 years old. You got a little girl, 1-year-old little girl.
Yes.
Right. And so you have this very interesting, unique story, kind of a tough journey to get to where you're at. And I want to talk about that, and then also some of the other stuff, the co-founding of the Ladies, is it Ladies Rising, right?
Yes, Ladies Rising, yep.
Ladies Rising. And so you're just a strong female role with this super confidence and empowerment of going out and making things happen. But at 24 years old, you're in charge of training a team of 12 to 15, 18 people, on target to, be in charge of 30, 40 people. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So tell me, how did you get to a place? I've been in sales. I'm 41 years old. I tell people still I'm like 29, but I have to tell the truth on here because I don't want to be called a liar. But so I've been in sales my entire life, all the way from 15 to today, and professional sales is something that I just love, have a passion for. Yeah. And there's just such a difference between someone who's in sales, someone who's a sales professional, like mastery of sales, and being able to transfer that and train other people. Where did you and when did you get in sales? Being 24 years old, like when did that start for you?
It started when I was 18, actually. So I was 18. I started off selling drinks, pretty much. Energy drinks. So
what kind of energy drinks?
What type of energy drinks? They were like a healthy energy drink that was based out in Arizona.
Okay.
Selling that. But I mean, the real time sales was about 2 years ago when I started real estate. And so
did you just know that you had this natural ability to sell, or was it kind of uncomfortable for you? Like, do you have, a profile of just a natural born salesperson, or did you have to like break through some discomfort or whatever?
I definitely had to break through some discomfort. Originally, before I got into sales, I was going to school in the criminal justice field, which is the complete opposite of sales.
Oh, yep.
But yeah, I had some friends that entered the business world, and I decided to give it a try, and I never looked back after I decided that I can make my own type of income based off of my own efforts.
So what was the motivation? Was it really, I mean, around income? Did you just start, was there something or someone that said, listen, sales? Because I believe that like people need to follow their passion, whether it's creativity or you have a purpose or a cause. But sales is really one of the things, even if you're a doctor or dentist, like whatever, you have to at some point incorporate sales if you want to have an unlimited income cap or unlimited income opportunity. And so was that your motivating factor?
Well, yeah, I wanted to make as much money as possible, but more so, just with my childhood history, I didn't live that much of a comfortable life, and I always saw the instability and, family struggling, trying to make money. And I didn't want to have to go through that again. And I like that sales, I was in my own control.
Okay. So, and we're going to touch on that, you lightly touched on just your background and coming up without the stability and things, and that being kind of a motivating factor to you. So, so when you decided to get into sales, you said that you got it. Well, I mean, did the energy drink stuff, but then you got into, and don't worry, like you can, that's not going to affect anything. We'll do on the recording, so you're good. No, you can put it back on.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you can put it back on so I can see you there.
Can you see it?
There you go.
Yes. Okay. There you go.
So you got into the sales side. When you jumped in and had to get through this discomfort, were you introduced to training? Were you working side by side with someone, or did you just kind of open a book? Like, what kind of was the initial start that you took on your own to say, this is the direction I want to go, see if I can make it happen?
Yeah, luckily I had a good group of people that I was around all the time that was in the sales industry.
Yeah.
But the main thing that helped me was obviously reading a lot of books and audios. I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone.
Yep.
I picked up the 10X rule, and I think I listened to that about 1 billion times. I could probably recite some of his chapters.
So that being one of the number one most, I mean, that's like one of the best books anybody can read ever. I mean, I think that book
absolutely.
Yeah. So do you think that book had such a huge impact on you that it like truly changed your thinking?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely did, as far as, setting the right goals and just not making excuses. That was a big thing. And then, like I said, the people around me were just really great. Like, I changed my circle of influence and hung out with friends that wanted what I wanted and were go-getters. And I think just all of us collectively combined, spending time together and bouncing off ideas with each other is really what, kept my thinking that way.
So at this point, so let's say the last couple years, what has propelled you from having to get through this discomfort and gain confidence and, changing your direction from criminal justice and really kind of academia, like going for the education and then shifting to sales? What do you think are some of the key ingredients that's allowed you to get really to have you said earlier before we started the podcast, you're having your biggest year ever. You continue to grow. You're doing, 6-figure income. You're living your best life, making a lot of great things happen. And you're in charge of other people. Like, what are some of the things so if someone's listening to this, male, female, young, old, and they're going, I want to do something different. I want to be more in control of my income and my opportunity. And this young lady did it. You didn't start off, you didn't wake up and just say, I'm a sales badass, like it was something that kind of developed, right? I mean, that's what you said. I mean, is that true?
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, you're going, okay, well, so it's like, okay, you had to go from here to here. What are some of the things you would contribute in 2 years that's allowed you to have this confidence, and not only just confidence, but results?
Yeah, well, for one, I learned to fail faster. At the beginning, I think it was hard because if I messed up or I didn't get the deal or it didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen, I'd get upset at myself. But then I realized that every time I failed, I was learning something new, and I learned what not to do so I can do better each time. So definitely one, don't be afraid to fail. Learn to fail faster so that you can get to success faster. Because no one that has been successful in any industry will tell you that they were super good from the beginning to end and didn't have any failures. They're going to tell you they learned from their failures and learn to embrace it.
So that's incredible advice, and I haven't ever heard it said just like that. So can you help me understand and the listeners of failing faster, like knowing that you're going into every situation with the intention to win,
Right.
but you fail. How do you fail faster? Is that recognizing sooner that, okay, this didn't go the way I wanted it to, and it was because I was not prepared, or it was because they weren't ready, or it was because of this? Like, how do you kind of describe what that fail faster looks like?
Yeah, honestly, it's a combination of all of those. I mean, for example, when I started in this industry, specifically a year and a half ago, I went 0 for 8 on my first sales. Like, I closed 0 of them, and I was going in thinking I was just going to be the best of the best going into it. And I was honestly so scared that I don't even think I finished my script in the presentation. But I learned that I needed to unlearn my script better, and then 2, I also learned that I need to just push through it, and just do what I said I was going to do, and just keep doing it, and learn to handle every objection that I possibly could have, so that every time I went in the home and I failed at responding to that sales objection, I would be able to tackle it the next time I got it.
And so did you so a lot of people, I think, will just keep kind of doing the same thing over and over, just thinking that's going to get better. Did you actually make notes? Did you go back and kind of tactically study and get better? Like, do you practice in the mirror? Do you go back and study more? Like, what was the commitment you made into your sales study? I mean,
yeah, that's a great question. So anytime I had an objection that I did not know how to handle, I wrote it in this notebook.
Yep.
So that every time I had it, I would call my mentor at the end of the day for a coaching call, and I would say, hey, this is what I came across today in the sales field. How would you have handled this? And then I would write down my answers. I would study it. I would practice it. I would role play it with someone. I mean, to the point that my family knew what to say to these objections, even though they weren't in my industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kept a booklet of everything so that I was excited to come across that same situation, because I knew I would get it the next time.
So all of those things led you up to being now, in just a short period of time, a great sales professional yourself, hitting your targets or exceeding your targets, and then teaching and training other people. Do you enjoy training and coaching other people more than you enjoy going out and executing yourself, or do you still enjoy going out and executing yourself, or is it a balance? Kind of like, what do you aspire to do?
I love teaching other people, but I think a part of teaching people is that you also need to be leading by example. You can't tell people to do things that you're not doing yourself. So I do both. I'm in the field and I'm executing to make sure that I'm on the top of my game, so that the people that I'm training, I know that they are going to be taught and trained exactly how I would be in the field. Like, it gets to the point where I would see someone go in for their sales presentation and they're literally talking same body actions that I do. Yeah. And that's only going to stay at the top level from me, being on it myself. But I definitely like teaching and training others, just because I think that I get more of a fulfillment from seeing someone else be successful than just myself, because when I see them being successful, that's just a direct correlation of what I'm doing.
So I'll ask you like a little bit of a personal question. We won't send this to your company, so that way you don't get in trouble. Is your passion where you're at right now, or is your passion in sales and helping people?
I like to help people. Honestly, that is the biggest thing. Honestly, they all correlate together, but helping people is a big passion of mine. From every part of the industry in general, like sales, I love being in sales, but I wanted to be in a sales field that not only can I get all the perks of sales as far as like the commission, the flexibility, no income cap, but I also wanted to be able to help people at the very same time. So
do you have, I know you have this like motivational, positive, make things happen. And we'll get into the Lady Rising where you're a co-founder there, but are you entrepreneurial? Or are you more like sales driven and helping others focus, I'm just curious, because not everybody, in today's 2019, it's like entrepreneur, everybody has to go do their own thing. Is that something that's important to you, or do you kind of feel in charge of your own schedule and life working within a company, like more of a corporate function?
Yeah, definitely not corporate. I'm an entrepreneur more than an entrepreneur.
What
So
does that?
I
Tell
like
me what that means.
so entrepreneur means that you are, what's the best way to describe it? So entrepreneur is that you are running your own business in a sense. I am on a 1099, but I don't have all the liabilities of owning my own business. So I don't have to worry about paying an overhead or staff or pay for leads or anything like that.
Yep.
I'm contracted with a company, so I'm running my own business within a business.
And do you see that as how you're going to continue? I mean, you're young, or do you have this desire to at some point go expand? And I'm not promoting that. I think that it's great. I think that the entrepreneur buzzword has been overdone, and entrepreneurship is amazing, and people should do it and explore it if that's really what's on them. But if it's not, there's huge, massive opportunities for individuals to go do exactly what you're doing. So kind of what's your thinking on that?
Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to stay where I'm at. There's no reason why I would want to go in and be responsible for all those things that an entrepreneur specifically has. I do want to become a partner within my company with our my SGA. His name is Dustin Vinnycamp. He's the one who owns our branch, and I want to be a partner of his. So in a sense, I'm running a business, but a branch of one.
Yeah, so just before this podcast gets released, a one that I did with Jared Glant from Cardone, Technologies. He's a buddy of mine, and we did one just on this entrepreneur, buzzword has just really been overdone, and it's like people like Jared who they're exposed to all the things that an entrepreneur does, and they preach the message of 10xing your life and going and making things happen, but that doesn't have to necessarily go be on your own. You can go within a company and create your own path and build as big of a life and opportunity as you want if you're willing to do so.
Exactly.
And with the right company. Okay, so why don't you give us just a little bit? I think people will want to hear just a little bit about your background and who you are. You kind of gave me the short version. All right. So, Sherrie, you were just, we were kind of talking about all your different experiences, but there's a part of your story that I think that our audience wants to know about and hear about, just because, you don't come from a traditional childhood upbringing, if there's such a thing as traditional. I don't come from a traditional upbringing, whatever that means. But yours is more colorful than even that, right? Than just the traditional, whatever that looks like. So, and I think it's just a really cool part of your story. And I also know that from what I can gather, it just doesn't define you. It doesn't define who you are, but it is something that I want people to hear because it's all about how you respond to adversity in your life. And it doesn't matter man, woman, it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what color you are. It is all about you. And so why don't you give us kind of a little bit of a background story on your upbringing?
Yeah. I had a crazy childhood. Back from the beginning, I was actually raised in an adult care home.
Okay.
So my parents owned a nursing home to take care of the elderly. So I lived there until I was almost 12 years old. But once I reached about the third grade, my parents got divorced. My mom had a really bad addiction to alcohol, and it never got better. So eventually it came down to her either going to rehab and seeing her kids, or not going to rehab and not see us. So she chose the second decision. Took off to Georgia. By the time I was in sixth grade, by the time that was all and over with, moved in with my dad. It was really great at the beginning, but once the market crashed back in 2008, we lost everything. I mean, he was making like $400,000 or $500,000 a year in real estate.
Oh, wow.
Huge hit with that. Yeah, so we lost the house, the cars, everything you can possibly think of.
How old were you?
By then I was 14.
And you have, I don't know if I read this right or you put in a wrong digit, but you have 7 siblings?
Yes.
So that is accurate.
Yes, yeah, that's accurate. I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters.
Oh, wow. So 7 siblings. Mom has, alcohol addiction. You said she
Yep.
chose to, instead of get her life together and be with her children and do her best, she chose to move to Georgia and left
Yep.
you and your siblings, all your siblings behind?
Yeah, so my older siblings at this point were 18 and older, so they all lived on their own anyways,
Okay.
but I had 2 younger siblings. So yeah, she left us.
So then you moved in with your father, and he was, in real estate and doing really well.
Mhm.
I can't imagine. My biggest fear is like, when you start with nothing and you you grow and you have something, it's like you don't want that to ever go away.
Right.
And so and that's a fear for most people, but the reality for it to happen in 2008, and your dad in real estate in Arizona, I mean, that was one of the hardest hit areas in the country.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and so what was that like for you and for you and your family?
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, we moved into my aunt's house with 2 other cousins, my aunt, uncle, dogs, me and my little sister, brother. We all shared a house for a bit. She helped us get back on his toes, and then we all moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. And things just went down from there. I don't think my dad really kind of got back to his full potential after that because, like you said, it was kind of scary to go back and build it up and lose it again. So now he's back to a regular job.
Do you think that and I don't want to be too personal, but is that hard for you to? I mean, do you feel like that changed him? Did like that overnight, like to lose everything? Was that just like changing him? Did that change him forever?
Yeah, it changed him a lot. I mean, it got to the point where like I couldn't live with him anymore. Like it was rough at home at that point. I ended up, going to court and getting emancipated. I took both of my parents to court. I got a job when all that happened. So I worked a job since I was 14, and I was supporting me and my siblings in an environment that I felt was not good for our growth and for ourselves. So went out and started the emancipation process at 15, and then eventually actually got emancipated at 16.
So when that happens, I mean, I understand it has to be crazy difficult, but did the dynamic change, like maybe just the spirit of the healthiness of the home and the family for your father? So you just thought, this is not an environment for me. I mean, and so I got to get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. He just let himself go at that point.
And so you jumped straight into the workforce. Were you going to school, and did you go to high school and graduate high school and all that stuff?
Yeah, I was going to high school still. I graduated a year early. I took extra classes, 0 hour, Z hour, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Yep.
So have you always just been like, it sounds like, I mean, that's a huge step of confidence in in yourself, having the confidence in yourself, getting graduated early, taking the classes, getting a job, caring for your siblings. I mean, you're just, you know how to dig deep and fight out of a situation. Is that would that describe you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is probably going to help play a part in the ladies rising when we get to that. So you got emancipated, and then did you move out on your own?
Yeah, I lived in and out of my car for a while because my dad kept following me as a runaway whenever I would stay at a friend's or my sister's house. So I lived in my car for about a year in and out. And then eventually, once the emancipation process was over, I was lucky enough to have my older sister and brother-in-law take me in for a little bit while I got on my feet. And then I got my own apartment.
So that it's just hard to imagine you're so well put together, and that I think that if anybody passes you or when you walk into their home and you're talking about life insurance and a product or whatever, they see you on social media, they're never going to look at you and say, this girl, emancipated, living on her own, living in and out of a car. I mean, that's a different level of like understanding. Most people, well, a lot of people that you come in contact with every day will never know what that feels like. I do. I've done it. I was on the run, running around when I was 15 years old. Not on the run, like, but I was running around without a home. Right? I mean, that's what it was. Like, you don't have a home, and sleeping on a friend's couch, or if you have to stay in your car or wherever. Yep. That's a really tough thing to process. At the time, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. It was more of a, this is what I do, and this is what I'm doing. Even though I knew it wasn't necessarily normal or right. But when I look back at it, it's kind of painful to think about, to reflect. Do you ever reflect on that time?
Yeah. Sometimes I think, how the heck did I even get through that? Like, I can't even imagine my daughter going through what I went through at that time.
So what do you think? What is something that pulled you through that?
Vision, to be honest. I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew that I was going to do whatever it took to be there, because I saw all my other friends' childhood that seemed to be normal, at least what their parents' life looked like. And I knew that I could get myself there with or without my family's help.
Well, good for you. You should be very proud of that. That's not easy. And I always say, I am a male white guy in Texas, and that alone makes it. I know that it's got to be more challenging as things spread out from who I am, and so I just admire individuals that have additional challenges on life already being kind of a motherfucker. I mean, sorry for the language, but life is hard in general,
right?
And then to be a female and going through all that, it says a lot about you, and so you should be very proud of that.
Thank you.
So you come out of, you get through that, you get out of high school, and then you immediately decide to go into criminal justice. What made you decide to go to the criminal justice route? What was that drove that?
Yeah, so I was going in the criminal justice field to get into law. I wanted to be a child advocate, which is, for those that don't know, it means that you are the voice for the children in the court setting. Mm-hmm. When my parents were getting divorced, I was in and out of court doctors all of the time. So I wanted to be that person who actually listened to the kid and wanted to make an impact that way to get people out of their situation that I was in. But then I ran into business and I transitioned out of it to be able to make a bigger impact.
Okay, so then that led into your kind of doing some sales. You said locally there, but then real estate. Was real estate just something? I mean, you saw your father go in the real estate route. What made you, I guess the economy's coming back out of it. You must have been introduced to someone in real estate. What kind of drove you to that?
Yeah, well, like you said, I saw my dad make a lot of money. My aunt and uncles made a lot of money in real estate. I knew that there was potential to make a lot of money in real estate. Yep. I did decent in real estate. I was selling a house at least one every month or every other month. But I transitioned out of it to go into a sales field that I could build residual income was the biggest reason. Okay,
so you transition and now you're sales training. And you've set targets. I mean, you're making a six-figure income, right now. How long have you been making a six-figure income?
So I just finished my first year with this company. That was the first time I cleared 6 figures.
Okay. And how'd that feel?
It was great, but after I made $150,000 my first year, I was like, dang, that's not that much money. Yeah. So I was excited to do more.
It's funny how your targets get, higher and higher.
Yeah, seriously.
And so now you're kind of got your stride. You're out of that chapter of your life, right? I mean, you can put that behind you. All that stuff's behind you. Now you're in complete control of who you are. You got a kiddo. You're exposed to all these things. You have this opportunity. What is your plans and goals from here? Like, what do you see Sherrie doing, in the next 12, 18, 24, 36 months? Like, what's your focus?
I see myself running a multi-million-dollar agency, mm-hmm. And more in a mentorship role. So in about 15, 20 years, whatever, I want to be traveling to different sales offices that I helped get off the floor and run, and just mentoring those people to do what I just did.
Is your company expanding offices? Are y'all growing or building new offices?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually at my new territory right now. I drove a couple hours to get out here this morning. But yeah, we are expanding very fast. Our territories right now are in New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas, but we have a couple other states that are going to be released soon.
Oh, cool. Well, congratulations. Well, so why don't we talk about real quick, I want you to tell us about Ladies Rising. what that means. It's important to me on this podcast to have a great diversity of people. I don't want it just to be, all CEOs or all kind of a one-stop shop. I want to have a great level of diversity, people in all different stages of their journey. I have a young man who's going to be on my show next week who's like, he owns a detailing shop, car detailing. He's like 20 and he just works his ass off. And then I've also had, guys on here that have, been in business for 30 years, had their big exit, $100 million exits and living their best life. And so when I think about having you on, I haven't had a female on, not for any other reason, just waiting for that right opportunity. And so tell us about Ladies Rising and what that means and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I felt like that there wasn't anything out there to bring women in the sales industry together. Obviously, it's predominantly a male industry. And I think the biggest thing that was stopping women from going into the sales industry and going out there and be sharks is that they didn't have the confidence or maybe the mentorship to do that. So my idea with Ladies Rising, along with our co-founders, Holly and Paul, is that we got together and we wanted to create this movement where we can get women from all other sales industries together and for them to be able to network, connect, and ask questions and help rise to everyone's potential.
So is this really kind of try to build a tribe around, sales and confidence and saying, hey, you don't have to be Susie Homemaker. You don't have to go do a dental assistant. You don't have to be a flight attendant. And I'm generalizing like, that this is kind of like in the past, like this is what females kind of do. And if you are in the workforce, this is kind of, you're saying, hey, you can go do anything you want. And this is a great place to go do it. You can be in charge of your income, charge of your time, your schedule and all that, all those other things. So helping like build a community around that.
Yep, exactly.
And so where do you pull your confidence from to say like, how is that going to benefit you? Is that something you can monetize on, or is this just a community for people to build off of each other and help empower each other? Is that important to you or what?
Yeah, that's important to me. I don't make any money off the movement or anything. It's strictly to be able to help other women around here or in any area to be able to come together and get what they need to reach their potential. So I just really like helping people, and I thought it was a great way to be able to do that on bigger masses.
So if I went to one of the girls in my office and said, hey, you should go check out Ladies Rising, you should follow them, and they were like, man, I really want to get into sales because right now I do other stuff. Right. What will they benefit from this community? Will they be able to go in there and just ask questions, mentorship? Is it like sales techniques? Like kind of what are they going to get?
Yeah, all of that. They'll get networking. They'll be able to meet with other mentors from different areas. Kind of like with your podcast, we get a little bit of everyone from everywhere. Our last event, we just had our launch event on May 1st, and we did a 6-figure earner panel where people had the chance to ask questions, and then we went and we answered it to the best of our ability in the overall sales industry, not specifically to what we do.
And so are y'all like man haters? Or are you like, if I said, hey, I want to be on the community, I want to come on and be a part of the panel and share my sales game. Are you like, no, this is Ladies Rising, men falling. Like how does that work?
No, definitely not. In fact, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for my male mentor. So it's not at all about man shaming. In fact, all we do at the event is talk about how grateful we are to have other men that are there for support. So we actually had some gentlemen that came, supported us, that are there to help. It's really just strictly about helping them reach their potential. I don't want it at all to turn into something where we're like, oh, we're better than guys or whatever. Well,
I think that's cool. I was watching one of the videos, and I don't know, it wasn't you, but it was one of the ladies talking, kind of a promotional type video, and she was just talking about like how grateful she was for the men and the families in their lives to help support them, right? Like, because that y'all, the saying has always been behind every great man is a great woman,
right.
And y'all are kind of just saying, well, behind every great woman can be a great man too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes behind you is not.
But
the goal is to have that. So another one of the things I saw you talked about laws of attraction, right? So what are the laws of attraction? What does that mean to you? And I believe in that. You hear people talking about it, but kind of what did you mean when you were talking about that in one of your posts or something?
Yeah. Well, for one, I think a lot of people think of the law of attraction in the wrong way. They think if they literally sit in their house and they think of a blue Ferrari, that a blue Ferrari is going to end up in their front yard.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite of that. I believe that obviously what you think about can happen, but you have to be able to provide the actions with your thoughts. So with law of attraction, to me, it's, hey, yeah, I'm going to run $100 million company. But to get there, this is what I'm going to do. But every day with every action plan I have in my thoughts, 100 million, this is going to get me to 100 million, 100 million, 100 million, 100 million.
Yeah. Yeah. So my podcast, it's RFN, which stands for Right Fucking Now. And it's all about action. That's the RFN podcast. And I have a book called Ram It that will be out in the next, several weeks. And it's Ram It, RAM, retreat, average, or massive. And it's all about, I think about the, big thinkers. Everybody always talks about big thinkers. Man, they're a big thinker. I'm like, man, big thinking is great, but big doing is what makes stuff happen, right? So that's what you're talking about. Like, you think about and envision the things that you want, and coupled with the right action, that's where the attraction happens.
Yep, exactly. After executing.
Yeah, you gotta execute. So let's see here. I also said when someone says they're meant for greater things, what does that mean? I saw one of the videos says, it was one of the ladies saying, we're meant for greater things. So what does that mean? What does that mean to you? What do you think that means when a female in this ladies rising movement says, we are meant for greater things?
Yeah, when they say they're meant for greater things, what we mean by that is whatever you're doing right now or where you're at, I think everyone is meant to be better than where they're at right then and there. They just need the right mentorship or plan or execution to be able to get to their full potential. Because I think everyone has a different potential. Not everyone wants to be the VP of sales or top salesperson, but their full potential might be to be top 5 salesperson in their office, just overall getting better than where they're at.
Okay, and you've talked a lot about you've mentioned multiple times the mentors, and I wrote down. Do you have a mentor? How many of those mentors are in person? How many of them could be like a Grant Cardone, who you maybe see as a mentor, but you don't interact with? So what does your mentor look like? And then you have described yourself that you're a mentor to others. Kind of what does that look like for you on mentors?
On mentors, yeah. So my mentor, his name is Dustin Vinnycamp. Super incredible guy. I mean, he's the ideal mentor in any part of your life. I mean, like, he's a great father. He's a great husband. He's very humble. I mean, someone at his caliber who can retire with millions of dollars is willing to come down and meet for lunch with me. His wife volunteers to watch my kid if I need it. I mean, he'll take a phone call at 2 a.m. if I need coaching. So he's a great mentor, and I try to embody myself after his people first culture that he has shown to me and other people that we work with.
Do y'all have a set schedule, or is it just kind of, interacting, and then you consider every interaction as kind of a mentorship?
Yeah. So we get together every Monday. We have like a recommended schedule on Mondays where we get together all day. We kind of set up our appointments for the week to go see our families that we go out and protect. But we do coaching calls every day. So everyone that I'm coaching and mentoring, I make sure I call them every single day at the end of their sales day. I ask them what happened, see what I can help them improve on. And then I also have a live scoreboard with everyone. So they plug in their numbers and what they happen. So we have competitions, and that kind of helps me mentor them as well, because I look at their lead and their lag on the scoreboard to help them improve their numbers.
Okay. And what about any virtual mentors, people that you have? Like, do you have one or two that you think this is just someone who embodies kind of your core values and that you go?
John Maxwell.
Huh?
John Maxwell. He's incredible.
Yeah.
The laws of leadership and the 360-degree leader. Anyone looking to be a mentor, like that's ideal person to be a mentor is him.
Yeah, I was at the 10X Growth Con recently. I don't know if you went, the one in Miami.
I didn't make it, no.
Yeah, so he was there. He did a really great job, and he is just a super humble guy with a unique background. And to see him still just outperforming and coaching and He just has so much wisdom. He's like a lot of wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's really smart. That was a great conference. One of my old mentors actually spoke at that as well.
All right. So let me ask you, so aside from the mentorship, who inspires you and where do you go for inspiration? Like on days that are bad, when you're getting punched in the face, hopefully not literally, but just like, with life and having a 1-year-old and, all the stuff that you're responsible for, where do you go for inspiration and who inspires you?
Who inspires me? Well, for where I go for inspiration is my family. My daughter is what inspires me every single day to get after my goals. And that's just, that's part of the sales industry. So you're going to have days where you literally get punched in the face and you're like, wow, I would have been better staying in bed today.
Yeah.
But, when you write down your why and what motivates you, that helps inspire me every single day. But inspiration wise, the people that inspire me, I mean, there's a lot of them out there. I mean, other than my mentors, Beyonce is a big one. She's like a straight lady boss out there. Oprah, Stone, some great qualities as well. And, John Maxwell, Grant Cardone, I love all of them. They all inspire me.
So do you have a daily process, like something that you do? You just said the write down the why. I try to be super focused and disciplined to a daily process, but I get outside of it, regularly. Do you have something that you do that keeps you really disciplined and on track, or how do you think about your day?
Yeah. Well, when I first wake up, I try not to look at my phone for at least 30 minutes, which is really hard to do.
Yep.
Don't look at my phone for 30 minutes. I wake up and I either write down or I say out loud what I'm grateful for, because I think that sets the tone for the rest of your day. And then from there, the day before I set out what I need to happen the next day to be on track for my goals. So if I say I need to sit down face to face with 6 people to make my sales, then I make sure that when I wake up in the morning after I'm done with, eating breakfast, getting my kid ready, I go out and I make my dials to set up my appointments. And I just set myself up with a plan the day before. Because if you don't plan properly, you're not going to execute, right?
Absolutely. So do you have, so being like, honest with yourself, not being self-deceptive, are you like living your full potential? Are you an early morning person, getting up ahead of the day, making everything happen? Or do you go to bed some days or talk to yourself on certain days and say like, I could be doing more. Why am I retreating from my goals? Like how do you find yourself? I mean, I think that's a struggle for a lot of people. And so do you feel like that you're just completely disciplined to the process and to your goals and like, this is where I'm going? Or do you are there days that you go, I have to refocus?
Yeah, I definitely have days where I feel like I have to refocus. To be honest, I'm not an early morning person, but I force myself to be, because I know that if I don't make myself get up in the morning when I don't want to, I'm not going to get what I want done. And I am a big believer that you need to sacrifice the things that you like and the things that are important to be able to get those important things later down the road. So those days that I feel like I'm not reaching my potential, I try to figure out why that day and get it fixed so that the next day is a new day.
And so how many hours a week do you think you average? Like truly like all in?
Sometimes I feel like I'm averaging 80 hours, but that's because I'm on my phone and I'm thinking about it all the time. But realistically, I think I'm working like, I don't know, 45, 50 hours.
Yeah. So 45, 50 hours. And are you 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week? Like, do you like disconnect on Friday at 6:00 and come back on Monday, or are you kind of like always engaged?
I'm always engaged. When you're a mentor and you're in charge of other people's success, I don't think it's fair for you to be able to shut off your phone when you tell these people you're going to be there for them. So I'm always available for my people, especially the ones that I'm coaching. Sundays are like my family day, but I always have my phone on me to help. How I set my week up is that if I don't reach my goals by Friday, then I'm working Saturday. If I reach my goals by Friday, I'll take Saturday, Sunday off, and I'll be available for my group. But otherwise, I work until I reach my goals and do what I say I'm going to do. I try to hold myself with high integrity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any core values that are like any type of like something that's important to you, like a set of core values or like a mission statement or something that's just like for Sherrie?
I mean, we have one that we came up with together with some of my partners. It's called the People First Declaration, where we talk about holding each other with like honesty, integrity, trust, trying to make our decisions with that declaration. But it all falls under, we live by the platinum rule within my organization, which is treat others do more for others than how you would want to them do unto you. So instead of the golden rule, which is treat others how you want to be treated, do more for others than you would have them do for you.
So, how do you define success for Sherrie? Like, how do you define that? What does that look like for you at the end of this year or at the end of the day? What will success look like for you?
Success to me, for me, looks like duplication of myself all over the place. Seeing other people, at least, I want to help at least 50 others reach a six-figure income.
Yeah. And that will help you reach your financial goals.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, I want to jump back just to a little bit, on thinking about how hard was it to break into sales and like this role, this empowered role that you have as a female. I mean, do you feel like I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it looks like, but you do. And you don't know what it's like for me, or as a guy, if you're not really good at sales, then it can be just as hard.
Right.
But like, what are the challenges for you being in this male environment, sales, kind of breaking out of the norm, which is the whole purpose of the movement for Ladies Rising? Like, what are the biggest challenges, and how hard was it to break into sales?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think it's a gender thing. It's a mindset thing. I think everyone can definitely come in and follow a system and do sales. It's just a mindset thing. It's what you put in your head and what you put out there.
I'm so glad you said that, because I totally agree. And I know that, I have, not debates, but I love talking to people. If I get in an Uber or if I'm just talking to someone wherever, I like to hear different people's stories, and I love diversity. Like, I'm a huge fan of diversity, talking to different people from different places, different cultures, and backgrounds. And it's like, I don't want to be blind to the fact that things can be harder. My business partner's an immigrant. His family came here from India when he was like 3 or 4 years old. And I don't want to pretend like that his journey to success, which he's reached massive success, wasn't maybe harder than mine, circumstances. But because of his mindset, he did not allow those things to get in his way. And so you feel like, as a female, like, don't sit around and cry about how hard it is, this or that. It's a mindset. You have to go for it.
Right. Yep. Exactly. You just have to go for it. As Grant Cardone says, don't be a little bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll let you say that. Sometimes it's taken out of context. I say it all the time, but my marketing director recently said, I don't really like that. I said, well, why? You've been saying it for 5 years. She's like, I don't know. I've just changed. I'm like, okay, well, I won't say it. Yeah. Well, I won't say it then. So then, what do you think about? This is an interesting question I was thinking about when we were getting on here. So on social media, in sales, a lot of women, and I may be making a generalization, and no woman will ever listen to my podcast again, which that's not what I want. But do you I see a lot of women who feel the need to use their body or their sexuality or whatever to sell or to get known. Is that a stigma as a female in general, or am I just off base there, or what?
I think it's a confidence issue. When they do that, I feel like they have to do those things to be able to be successful, because they're not using their head or their potential. They're doing what they feel is easy for them to do. Yeah.
So I have a lot of female reps who come in and sell, insurance or whatever else that come through, and
yep.
It's just interesting to see one who comes in and they don't really know their product. They're kind of like, oh yeah, I have to go find that out, and this and this and this. But they come in and you can tell that they are hoping that you're just going to be a lay down because they're really good looking or whatever else, kind of,
yep.
Dressed sexy, versus someone who comes in and they're just like super confident in themselves, their product, and what they have to offer, their features and advantages and benefits. And to me, as a person doing business, like, I think that what people don't really know is that is more important to people who are really doing real business. That's
Yep.
more important. Like if you're at a bar on a Saturday night, maybe don't talk about features, advantages, and benefits of insurance.
Right.
Dress, wear a dress and have fun. Do your hair and put on your makeup. But in a professional environment, when you're selling a product or a service, it really should. The playing field is equal. Black, white, man, woman, short, tall, doesn't matter. It's all about your confidence, your product knowledge, and all that stuff. I mean, do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if I was going out and to learn sales, I'm going to go to the one who's dressed professional and holding themselves high with confidence, and the girl who looks like she just went to the club. I mean, that's kind of where that sales stigma comes from of girls can't do sales, is because of women who use those things to try to sell.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let's I want to do like a just quick lightning round. So what's your favorite book, or what book would you recommend to the audience that says go read this book?
I would say 360-Degree Leader is tied with the 4 Disciplines of Execution.
Do you know who wrote the 4 Disciplines of Execution?
The 4 Disciplines of Execution, I actually just finished it, and I am going to read it again just because it was so good, especially for people who are in the sales field. It's by Sean Covey.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you know. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So I wonder if Sean Covey is a son of Stephen Covey.
I don't know.
Maybe so. So 4 Disciplines of Execution, you said?
Yeah.
So execution and discipline are 2 of the most important things. Like, how does someone build in discipline at a level of this word discipline gets overused because it's so important.
Right.
It's one of our core values at our company. But what does discipline mean to you? After reading that book, like, what did you get out of that book that you're going, this is what discipline means and looks like to me?
Well, how he explains it in there is, for one, you have to figure out what your measurements are. So sometimes people are just looking at the end all. Well, I want to reach this much in sales, but what actions are going to get you to actually achieve that? So, for example, if you want to lose weight, you're counting calories, you're seeing, what type of workouts you're going to do. That would be your lead and lag. For me, it's how many people am I going to say, and how many referrals do I need to collect to be able to get there? So just being disciplined to pay attention to those numbers that are going to drive those numbers that you want to get to.
Okay, so the 360 leader, 4 Disciplines of Execution. Do you listen to a podcast? I mean, podcast is kind of a new thing. I know a lot of people it's a big buzz right now, but what I believe is it's kind of a buzz, but it's going to grow, like it's going to quadruple in numbers. It's going to be a way that people find information. Do you have a podcast that you like to listen to regularly?
I have not found one yet, but I like what you're doing here with RFN because it's strictly with sales, and I like the diversity you have on it as well.
Yeah, well, cool. I can't wait to get it all published out so you can start listening to it. Hopefully you'll be one of my subscribers.
Awesome, of course.
And so what advice would you give out there to a, let's say, 18 to 24-year-old female who is not quite sure what they want to do, and they, they're just kind of trying to figure out, and maybe their mindset is immediately going to, and I think this happens a lot, where they immediately go to, what are the things that females normally do in the workforce? Like if they're not going to go to the education route, something specific or targeted, but they're just kind of going, oh, what do I do? And then they think, oh, well, I guess I'm going to go do accounting. I guess I'll go do admin, or I guess I'll do the flight attendant. And all that is stigma, not real. But what advice would you give to that young lady?
My advice would be to find someone that you can relate to, and find someone that has what you want, and become their best friend. Get them to mentor you, and follow them around and do everything that they do, so that you can get to where you want to go. A lot of times people just go into those things because they don't either know what they want, or they don't know anyone who has what they want. So they just fall into whatever's easy instead of finding someone or something that can actually teach them to get to where they want to be.
So that is great advice, but just because I want to dig a little deeper, I want to push a little harder. because I think that it's, everything's always easier said than done. Like, you're there and it's comfortable. You've heard it, you've read it, you're living it. So what is the person that doesn't know someone that does that? I mean, how do they go find that? I mean, what advice? I mean, how do you challenge someone to say, listen, no one's going to come do this for you. This is your responsibility. You have to go find someone. Well, I don't know anybody, and I don't know how to do this, or I don't know how to do that. What would you say to them to say, stop making excuses. This is what you need to go do. I mean, I know you kind of said it, but I just know that someone's going to be listening to this and saying to themselves, I know that I don't know where to start.
Right. Well, I think they need to write down everything that they want, because you're not going to find if you don't find something that you don't know what you're looking for.
Okay.
Write down what you want, and then also write down what it looks like to you. Like, what does your successful career look like? What does the culture like? What does the finances look like? What does everything look like? And then I would go on a hunt and go find people or go meet people so that you can get recommendations or something that you can plug into. Go attend a seminar, go read some books, go to a club, anything that you need to go find someone. Probably not a club, but go somewhere where you can find someone that embodies those things you wrote down.
Yeah, maybe like a book club.
Yeah, maybe.
So would you say then that okay, what if, so I'm this young person, man or woman, but a woman in this circumstance, and I'm writing down those goals. Do you believe that people are more open and almost kind of flattered if someone went to them and said, listen, like, from the outside you look like you're successful in all the things that I want, even though it's just a perception and life is hard and there's no telling what's going on in that person's world. But would you say that people are more open if you just have the confidence and kind of go out and seek out and ask? I mean, I found in my lifetime that if you just talk to people and tell people, you get more yeses than nos.
Yeah, exactly. I would definitely recommend that you just go out and talk to people, because you're going to miss every single opportunity that you don't try to take. So might as well talk to everyone.
Okay. So, what, we're going to have to wrap up here. What would, what's the most, single best piece of advice that you've been given, or a mantra that you live by every day, that you would want to leave the audience, kind of thinking about?
That's a hard one. Honestly, the biggest thing is, I mean, the cave that you fear to enter is where the treasure you want to seek will be found. I'm sure you've heard the quote. I know it's not word for word, but anything that you're afraid of, there's a reason you're afraid of it, and you should just do it. You got to face your fears, and if you don't go after them, they will overpower and take over you. So just face your fears and just go for everything and anything that you can, that you want.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and I don't know that quote, but I have fears. Like, I'm kind of a person who puts a lot, throws caution to the wind, and I'm a risk taker, but then there's a lot of things that I'm afraid of, that when I do it, I'm like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have been afraid of that before.
Right.
Because that is, what you're looking for is on the other side of fear. And I was just watching a deal with Will Smith. He was talking about his fears and how he's conquered the fears over the years, and that's something that has really helped build him to the success that he's made over the years and all his different, his different ventures in life. And so I think that's a great quote. And then also, before we go, tell the audience where people can kind of find you on social media.
Yeah. Well, I'm on Facebook, which is Sherrie, Sherrie McCarty. And then also, if you go on Instagram, my username is Sherrie_McCarty.
And then on the Ladies Rising, what is that?
Yes, it's Ladies Rising Together is our username. So
Ladies Rising Together. So if you're a dude or a girl, but shout out to all the ladies. go find Sherrie, follow her personal page. Also go to the Ladies Rising so that you can be a part of what they're doing, get advice, and connect with her. And then I guess, do y'all sell your services all over your life insurance? Is that something that y'all sell all over the country or just in certain markets?
Just in certain markets. So depending on the territory we're in.
Yeah. So, but I guess if you need life insurance, then call Sherrie, because that's how she makes her money. What is the one thing before we leave that you have done or bought or whatever that you just kind of go, like, when you think about it and then you think back in your mind to sleeping in a car? I just want to remember, I want to remind the audience, I want to reflect back on this young lady was sleeping in her car less than 10 years ago. Not half of that, but well under 10 years. Today is earning six figures, 24 years old, training a team of people, helping build a community to support other people. What is something that kind of helps, like, you reflect back and you just go, wow, what is that?
What is that? To be honest, when I meet other people that were in the same situation I was, I always get flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I see it as a project. So,
but what's the one thing, I saw you posted something on some really fancy shoes that you bought, and I don't know about girls' shoes, but you had bought some really fancy shoes.
Yeah.
When you were doing that, I mean, do you or did you ever reflect back on, a few years ago I was sleeping in a car?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. When I went and bought not just one but two pairs of red bottoms, that was real for me. I mean,
I guess red bottoms are cool in the ladies' world.
Yeah, exactly. They're really cool. Louis Vuittons.
Wow.
They were great. So I was really excited, and it definitely made me give that flashback that, wow, this is where I'm at now, and just looking back at where I came from, that I made it through that part.
So you made it through that part, but what did that do for you? What did that say to you? Was it hard work? Was it the ability to overcome? Was it that vision? Was it the fearlessness? Like, what are the emotions that you kind of, like, what can you leave everybody with on the emotions of that put you in that place to go do that? Because I have to imagine that you don't go from one place to the other in such a dramatic change, and not have these internal feelings or thoughts to yourself. Like, what were those feelings and thoughts?
I had a roller coaster of thoughts through the journey. I mean, there were times where I've had anxiety and fear and, scared just all the time. And then I went through roller coasters where I was just really excited and happy. But the biggest thing was just consistency, just through everything, just consistency throughout the feelings, and using every feeling that you have throughout the journey as fuel, to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. Not letting things go one way too far or the other.
Exactly.
All right, Sherrie, thank you so much for joining the podcast. For those of you listening out there, go follow Sherrie, the Ladies Rising. Go be inspired by what she's doing. Think about your challenges in your life. I hope that you're not sleeping in your car. If you are, know that everything is a mindset. It's all about you. It's all on you, whether or not you get out of that car or not. There's people in worse conditions than living in their car. But if you're a person that doesn't have a lot of challenges, specifically, you have a home to go to, you have a family that's supportive, but you're just struggling with getting through, like getting out of your own way to go get the success, man, think about all the people with far more challenges. Like, how do you dig deep and go and do and be the best version of you? It's all a mindset. It's all on you. Don't let your circumstances define you. Don't let the adversities, let them build you, grow you. Some of the things that Sherrie said was, talking about fear and how you overcome them, having a vision. Whatever place you're in today, you better have a vision. That for me in my life, I've always had a vision. I've always known that, I dream and I have a vision of where I'm going and what I'm doing. And I have a lake house today that I bought a few years ago that's like my little slice of heaven. And less than 10 years ago, I remember, going to sleep on a buddy's boat, that I was just glad to be on. And it was like started raining and lightning. We were supposed to be out there for this fun weekend, and I was just like miserable and cold. And I'm like, oh my God. But I just kept visualizing where I was going to be one day. And now when I go back to that place and I'm on my own boat and I have this house to go to, I'm just like, oh my gosh, you have to envision like what you said of where you're going. Right?
Yep, 100%. Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So thank you, Sherrie, for joining us. And we really appreciate your story. You've done amazing things, and you should be extremely proud of yourself. I know you are. Keep doing it. I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to sneak in and be the dude in the group that's like, I want to know more about the sales and be challenged and challenge other people. So I look forward to getting to know you, and the next time you're in Dallas, come by the office and say hi.
Awesome. I will. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.